The Cage Warriors Manchester doubleheader is just days away, and we are happy to bring you a look. I'm Jendo with Combat Sports UK, and this is your Cage Warriors Manchester preview show.
Conceive, believe, achieve.
This is former UFC middleweight champion of the world, Michael Bisping.
Paddy the Baddy here. You're listening to Combat Sports UK.
And you're watching Combat Sports UK.
Cage Warriors 135 goes down this Friday and is headlined by Justin Burlinson and Daniel Skabinski at welterweight. It was also supposed to feature the return of Darren the Dentist Stewart, who was looking to get a win in his Cage Warriors return, but Carlos de Souza pulled out with COVID. We can't wait to see the dentist back in action, but it wasn't time yet. Our Lewis Simpson did speak to him over for Combat Sports UK. You may want to check that out. An intriguing bantamweight clash goes down with Liam Gittins and Edward Walls squaring off. Gittins looks for his 8th pro win, Walls looks for his 11th. Scotland's Paul McBain also squares off with undefeated Italian Federico Pasquale on the 135 card. Quite a few Irish talents on this card, and among them are James Sheehan, who takes on Carol McCulloch, Adam Shelley, who fights Stephen Hooper, Ryan Shelley, who squares off with Magdi Garif, and finally Caolan Loughran, who will wage war with Bhaktiyar Kayle at Cage Warriors 135. We spoke with both Caolan and Bhaktiyar just days away from the scrap. Joining us now is undefeated Cage Warriors prospect Caolan Loughran, who gets back in the cage at the Manchester doubleheader. How is everything heading into this one?
Unbelievable. Best ever.
You're getting in there with an opponent who has with the amateur record considered, a 7-fight win streak. How is preparation ahead of this one, and how do you make sure you don't overlook someone who only has one pro bout?
I'll never overlook him. I kind of don't have that mistake in the amateurs. I'll never overlook him ever. But to be honest, I didn't actually know I was fighting him until like 4 days ago. So it hasn't been like specific for him or anything. But I've been watching him ever since. But I'm definitely not overlooking.
You were touted by many as one to watch for coming out of Cage Warriors. Your record speaks for itself. This is only your Cage Warriors debut. How important is it for the Don to go out and make a statement and say, hey, Cage Warriors is mine?
That's exactly what I'm going to do. I don't know, lad. I don't really worry about that. Just, I'm worried about making weight and the performance takes care of itself at the minute. He's a good opponent, but I do think I'll make a statement on him. I do think I can finish him, to be honest with you.
If all goes well, what's the celebratory meal and the drink after the fights?
It'll be a pint, first and foremost. It's been fucking 3 months since Christmas, so it'll be a pint.
Oh, man, something tells me there's going to be plenty of pints coming your way. With this being your first bout in 22, any thought into how many times you may be in there, or just re-examine after the fight?
4 fights. So far, they're coming to Belfast in June. I haven't got back home for 4 years now, so I'll get back in June, hopefully around September time, and then what I'm thinking is about December time. That's what I'm going for. Hopefully 4 fights. Actually.
Should be an active 2022 for you, man. Been fun speaking to you. I wish we had a bit more time, but something tells me we may be speaking again quite a few times in the future, brother. Now joining us is Cage Warriors' Bhaktiyar Kayle, who fights at the Cage Warriors Manchester doubleheader coming up. How are you feeling ahead of this one?
Oh, I'm excited. I'm excited for this one. It's a good matchup for me, and I'm looking forward to it. It's a very good matchup.
It's a very tough opponent that you'll be fighting in there. Is there any added pressure in this fight, or is it just business as usual?
Well, I don't really put no pressure on me. I just take it as it comes. Like, it doesn't really bother me if it's tough or whatever. I know I've done my training, and that's the main thing for me. I don't really focus on my opponents. I really focus on myself. And we see on a fight day. That's the main thing for me.
You successfully made your Cage Warriors debut with a first-round triangle choke. Are there any differences in the way you prepared for this one to that fight?
No, I stick to my game plans, like general MMA. There's no secret to it. Like, I just do whatever MMA shows. There's yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Like, I don't really change my game. It's always the same.
After a rough start to your amateur career, going 0-3 to begin, you've turned it around emphatically. You've now won your last 7 fights, including your pro debut, by finish on the bright stage of Cage Warriors. What made you flip the switch? How did you start winning all of these fights?
I used to fight in the wrong weight class before, like very unexperienced and not really had a good gyms, coaches, not really, like, wasn't around a good people. I used to just go and fight every day, every weekend, just wanted to fight. I used to go there, fight people way bigger than me, like 70 kg, and I used to go there around 68. Like, it was kind of making me thinking, oh man, this is too much.
A fighter's fighter. You'll fight anybody.
Yeah, just fight anybody. But when I chose the right weight class, 61, from then I just started winning fights. I was thinking, oh, this is the right weight class.
You said that you'll go wherever MMA takes you here. If the night goes perfect, is there any idea how you want to take the win, or is it just go with the flow?
I just go with the flow. Whatever is a plan, like whatever just comes, we just take opportunities.
We look forward to speaking to you again soon, mate. I apologize for how quick this one, but we've got quite a few guys on here. Let the fans know where to find you on Instagram. We'll get you out of here.
Oh yeah, I'm on Instagram, Rico Oracle, and if you're gonna follow me, follow my journey. We see you guys Friday.
Elsewhere on the Cage Warriors 135 card are Matty Byfield, who looks to make a statement, Connor Wilson, who we plan on speaking to for Combat Sports UK post-fight, Dean Truman, O'Meal Brown, Dan Hepworth, and Antonio Sheldon. 135 is the perfect appetizer to Cage Warriors 136, and we've got 6 fighters booked for Cage Warriors 136 to bring to you guys. The Cage Warriors 136 main event will be Jati Melan defending his middleweight championship against Christian Leroy Duncan. This fight is an absolute treat and worth the price of admission on its own. Impossible to pick a victor in this one, and both men are guaranteed incredibly valuable experience. Aaron Abbey and Gerardo Fanny will throw down in the co-main event, and all eyes have to be on this scrap. Aaron Abbey told our Lewis Simpson early this week that with an impressive win, he believes he'd be knocking on the UFC's door. Now, I got to speak with Aaron before the showdown, and he seems to have a very positive mindset going in. Now joining us is 17 pro fight veteran Aaron Abbey, who has performed everywhere from FCC to ACB and now settled in Cage Warriors. Aaron, how are you feeling ahead of this pivotal bout with Gerardo Fanny?
I'm feeling good. I'm excited. Training camp's gone well. So, yeah, I'm just looking forward to it now. Fight week's always a slow week. I try to just stay busy and stay active, but I'm excited and ready to go.
So, for those who don't know, and we will touch on your fight in a second, can you elaborate on your role with UKFC and what makes you get so involved with the scene as a whole?
I'm head matchmaker for UKFC. I just love MMA, like being involved in the sport. Obviously, I fight, I coach, and matchmaking for UKFC was a role I picked up while I was out of competition. Steve was fortunate to give me the job and let me work and help build up the amateur scene for UKFC. So that's one of my roles as well.
You're working some magic there, and you definitely have a future when you're done fighting. The fans and fighters alike love you. But I wanted to ask one more thing before we touch on your fight. I saw you were with Dakota Ditcheva at UAE Warriors this past weekend. How was your experience down there? And how was her experience down there? She is a very well-known prospect in the scene. I'd love to hear about it.
Yeah, it was a good experience. It was a good experience for her as well. Obviously, we all know she's going to get to the top, and building these experiences, traveling, having to weight cut abroad, fighting big venues is something that she's going to need to get used to, which she is getting used to and she's thriving in. And it was a good performance for her, and she's only going to keep developing and getting better.
So you spoke with our Lewis Simpson in the lead up to this one. You told him that you'll be knocking on the door of the UFC with a big win here. How crucial is this fight to you?
This fight's the biggest fight of my career that I've been involved in the sport. Obviously, I've had bigger fights outside of it, but this is the biggest fight I've been involved in the sport, and I'm looking forward to it. And I think a good win will help me definitely be knocking on the UFC's door, or if not, getting into the UFC, especially with the cards coming over to the UK. And that's always been my goal and my aim, and that won't change after Saturday.
What aspects of the fight do you think you'll have to be a little bit more careful with this opponent ahead?
I think he's dangerous. He's a dangerous striker. He seems to hit hard. He's got a lot of finishes on his record. He seems like he's good on the front foot as well. But I think I'm going to have opportunities to win this fight. There's going to be moments in the fight where the fight can go my way, and I'm going to look to take them.
Final question for you, man. How do you believe you get the job done and continue cementing your name across the global MMA world?
I believe I get the job done by a good performance, and I think I can get a submission finish.
Aaron, thank you so much for joining us. Josh Reed is another Welshman who we spoke to pre-fight, and he makes the 19th walk this weekend in Manchester against an impressive 7-1 prospect. Josh spoke with me before the fight, and I can't wait to see this one. Joining us now is Welsh fighter Josh Reed, who is scheduled to do battle at the Manchester doubleheader for Cage Warriors this weekend. Josh, how's everything going in?
Yeah, it's going great. Thanks. Camp have been brilliant, and I can't wait to get the show on the road now on the weekend.
You've had 18 pro fights to your name. How do you think that experience benefits you in your fights? We saw in your last fight, you took the 0 of a very impressive young prospect.
My experience plays a big part now, especially when it goes into the latter rounds, the second or third round. I've been there many times before. I can pace myself in the fights, and I've seen it all. So.
All right, I'm going to read that back as well because it broke up in mine, and then I'll just go on to the next question. I just do that so I can add it together. You fought exclusively for Cage Warriors since 2016. How is your relationship with the promotion, and why has it been exclusive for so long?
Yeah, it's they're great to work with. They always want me on their cards. You only got to watch my fights. I'm an exciting fighter, so that's why they always want me on the cards. But yeah, I've chosen to stay with Cage Warriors. They give me a good platform to showcase my skills, and yeah, I enjoy working with them, and I can't wait to get my 18th or 19th pro fight on the weekend. I can't wait.
You've experienced your fair shares of highs and lows, just about everything, honestly, in the professional aspect of the sport. What along the run helped you or helps you currently grow the most as a fighter?
I think losses, to be honest. You could take a lot from them. The fights that I've lost, I've come back and I've dominated in the areas where I lost them fights. So yeah, if I define like if you keep winning, you get a bit complacent. That's not everyone, but that's with me. If I keep winning, I get a bit complacent, think, oh, it's fine. What I'm doing is fine. But obviously, there's always areas to improve. So I take the most from my losses and I move forward.
Your first time in there in 2022. How much would you like to see yourself in the cage this year?
Oh yeah, I can't wait. It's been a long time since September, I believe, the last one. I like to be active. I did want to fight on the March card that just gone, but obviously my teammate was fighting the same day, Jack Shaw in UFC, so it would be too much with the team going on. So I've had to wait till April, but yeah, I can't wait. I'm really excited for the weekend.
It's been awesome having you on, my friend. Haven't had you for too long. Hopefully in the future we get to speak a bit longer. Thank you for joining us.
No problem at all.
Luke Riley and Jack Eglin face off in a clash that pits two 2-0 prospects against each other. This fight is anything but your usual bout between two fight pros. Riley is coming off of winning the Cage Warriors Breakthrough Fighter of the Year award. Jack Eglin is looked at as a future star as well. Something has got to give. Adam Caolan and Injai El Haji will also square off in a fight pitting 3-0 against 4-0. Adam Caolan comes into this one seeking a statement of a victory. He believes that he is one of the best talents the UK has to offer, and he wants to show that in Manchester. I caught up with Adam before the fight, and it's hard to bet against him after hearing what he had to say. Now joining us is Adam Caolan, who has a pro record of 3-0, competes with an undefeated pro with a record of 4-0 this weekend. Adam, how's the vibe this weekend before Cage Warriors 136?
Yeah, I'm feeling good. Feeling good, lads. I'm ready to go. You know what I mean? It's been a good camp. The vibe in our gym is flying at the minute, so to be going into this with 6 other lads all from our gym, straight off that UFC win 2 weeks ago. We're flying. We're ready to go.
Quite a week just recently. UFC London, all of the UK regional shows going on. Now we follow it up with 2 Cage Warriors cards and Almighty this weekend. Gonna be huge. You took a route that I love in MMA. You took 9 amateur fights, faced some tough competition. The experience has clearly helped. You're now 3-0 as a pro. How much did your losses on the amateur circuit help you learn about yourself and improve as a fighter?
Yeah, they helped massively. Them fights I lost, I was so young at the time. Like, I think I was 18 and 19 when I got beat. So you think you know everything, don't you? And like,
how
no matter
crucial is that for an 18, 19-year-old kid to just taste defeat?
You need humbling, don't you? Because obviously in them, a lot of them fights, I was smashing as well as doing well. Do you know what I mean? I was winning, and then to get beat the way I did, it's like a good reminder of what MMA is like. Do you know what I mean? You can turn on a timepiece, can't it? As you say, it's such a tough sport, and there's so many ways to lose and only a few ways to win, as you say. So that was crucial for me going forward to really change up how I was training, change up how I was approaching fights, and my mentality is just so much different now. I'm an absolute killer compared to what I was back then.
You've got an amateur win over Connor Hughes to end your amateur days, a pro win over at the time, 5-1 Mikhail Byram. Now you're facing 4-0 Haji. What makes you take these incredibly difficult fights, I should say, so often?
It just doesn't mean anything to me, though, all that, 4-0, 5-1, and because they've never fought me. Do you know what I mean? I'm different to all these lads they're fighting. So, do you know what I mean? You can be 4-0 and you can be 150-0 if you're fighting bums. It doesn't make a difference. I'm different, and they all find out when they come in there with me. It's a different animal. Do you know what I mean? I'm ready to run through anyone. I'll fight everyone there is tomorrow. I'm not asked what your record says.
A win this weekend doesn't just push you to 4-0. It puts you to 4-0 in Cage Warriors. You made your debut there. You've had all your pro fights there. Most fighters can't be making very many claims after only 4 fights in. Your situation's a bit different. Do you feel yourself nearing a bigger fight in Cage Warriors? I mean, there's not much more you can do before you start getting matched up there with the top of the division.
No, of course. I feel like I'm going to start having to get names now. Do you know what I mean? Some of these lads that have been around the block on Cage Warriors and are known to people that follow Cage Warriors, they have to give me them next. I've been asking for them already, but they didn't want to step up yet because I've only had 3 fights. But they're going to have to get it eventually, and I'm ready for any of them. Do you know what I mean? Whatever the records say they are, I'm not asked. I'm going to smash all of them. So they need to feed them to me.
If your track record shows us anything, it's that you're coming for the big dogs and you're coming fast. Hopefully we get to speak to you after you're victorious this weekend. Really looking forward to it, man. This is one of my most hyped fights of the night. What do you have to say to those thinking, hey, maybe they'll tune in, maybe they won't tune in this weekend?
Well, everyone needs to watch that because, let's be honest, I am the future of UK MMA. Do you know what I mean? It'll be easy to go and watch me when I'm in the UFC, but this is the time to start watching because I'm going to start making statements, and in the next year, everyone's going to be talking about me as the top unsigned talent outside the UFC.
We believe it, man. That's why we reached out. Thank you so much for joining us. You've been great. I can't wait to speak to you again in the future. Something tells me you're going to be in the MMA world for quite some time.
Nice one, lad. Thanks for having me on.
Manny Akban was scheduled for Tom Mearns, but the fight has been since changed. He now takes on 6-1 pro Connor Kitchens in what should be viewed as a step up in competition. Even with that being said, Manny was in good spirits when we spoke earlier. Mick Stanton and Kieran Lister are also on this Cage Warriors 136 card, albeit in separate bouts, but they will definitely give fans something to look forward to. We switch our attention to Ben Rees, who's near a move halfway across the globe to the States. Ben was fascinating to speak with. Joining us now is Ben Rees, who goes back into the cage at Cage Warriors 136 and is wearing one of the coolest pieces of MMA gear I've seen recently. Look at the bullish shirt. Ben, how was everything ahead of fight week, and where did you get the shirt?
So I just got the shirt online. I think it was Amazon, actually. Pretty easy to find.
But fight week so far, it's actually been a handful of things going on. But my training, above everything else, has been really good. I feel mentally ready as well. But I've had a lot going on this week, personally.
You mentioned a lot's going on, and I was going to ask my next question: how has training camp been through the entire process? It's quite an interesting time for you. You're moving soon, got a lot going on, and a fight in Manchester, which is massive right now. That is a very big opportunity for Cage Warriors. What's going on with you, man?
Yeah, so back in December, I originally had a fight cancelled, like on the day of the weigh-in. So the matchmaker Ian Dean said he was going to get me on this year, and he came through with that with the Manchester fight. So we had that ready, and then all of a sudden, as I'm preparing and deep into fight camp, I get my long-awaited green card interview at the US Embassy. So that was last week. But before that, I had to go up to London and do a visa medical to make sure I was medically okay to travel. I went for my interview and I got granted my green card, which was fantastic. Unfortunately, last week as well, my grandmother passed away. So the day before I go up to Cage Warriors Manchester, I have to go to my grandmother's funeral. So it's going to be a really busy time, but I've managed to, fit in a lot of training around that. And I'm ready to go. I'm always ready to fight.
Condolences to your family and to you yourself. What a time. And man, it's got to, in a way, feel good to know you're getting locked in a cage and all of that noise goes away. It's just you and another man. It's a fight. How does that feel? Just knowing that's ahead.
Yeah, it feels great. And actually, with all the pressure that I've had on because the process for a green card takes a really long time. Me and my wife haven't seen each other for a long time. So all that pressure's sort of gone now. And all I have left to do in the UK is to go out there on Saturday night, have fun, throw combinations that I want to throw and put on a show for everyone. This is one of the most exciting fights that I've been looking forward to.
It's a therapy session in there for you, in a sense.
Yeah, it is. I'm
so
have
with
to thank Liam afterwards.
With you moving to Sacramento shortly, right? The plan, is it to fight in San Diego and then stick with Cage Warriors, or potentially just start looking at stateside promotions? Because it may be a little bit difficult to get logistics going for Cage Warriors once you're out here.
Yeah, so I've already had some discussions behind the scenes regarding Cage Warriors San Diego. So I think a big win on this one will be good for me to get a place on the San Diego card. And I'd also look then at flying my UK coach out to corner me for that as well. And I want to jump straight into training at Team Alpha Male when I get out there, possibly next week. And I'm working towards something like that.
Man, it's incredibly busy. Go ahead.
Yeah. Other promotions in the US as well also interest me. There's some great opportunities in the USA, and I can't wait to explore it all.
How many times do you plan on getting in there this year? You said you plan on being at Alpha Male training as early as next week, but do you need any time to get acclimated to the States, or are you kind of planning to just jump right into the fire and get some fights going soon? You mentioned Cage Warriors San Diego, so it can't be too long. But after that, no unwind period?
It always does, because I've trained out at Alpha Male before. It does take time to get acclimated to their training schedule and the speed the guys train at as well. These are like the highest level athletes in our sport, and it's a fast pace. But once you get acclimated and on their mats and used to it, it's good. And I can then start working towards a fight camp. If it's not the San Diego card, then I'll start looking around California or even out of state for a fight. But I want to stay
Las Vegas is just a couple hours away.
That's now we're talking.
I'm so happy to have had you on, man. Thank you for being so available so late. Is there anything you want to say in closing before we get you out of here?
No, just thanks for having me on. It's nice to come on and chat. Maybe after the fight we can get another one in.
We're doing a post show. We're going to be doing a lot with Combat Sports UK. Something tells me this isn't the only time we speak.
Excellent. All right.
Thank you very much, man. We'll catch you again. We've saved this for last, as these two men will be squaring off with one another, them being Sam Spencer and Rees McEwen. Sam is as stoic as it gets, Cool, calm, and collected, if you will. But it's clear that Sam is focused at the task at hand. The kind, extroverted McEwen is in a much more jolly mood. We will see which approach comes out on top in this one, and I am just extremely happy I got to speak with both of these men. This fight has a chance to steal the show.
Joining us now is 6-2 pro Cage Warriors fighter Sam Spencer, who wages war with debuting Rees McEwen at Cage Warriors 136. Sam, how was everything ahead of Manchester?
I'm great, thank you. Nice to be here. Everything's going to plan.
It's good to hear. You're facing Cage Warriors debutant Rees McEwen. Is there anything you've seen from him that puts you on edge or lets you know, hey, this is going to be a tough bout?
Yeah, he's good. He had one of the best amateur records in the country before he turned over to pro. I know he's only had 4 professional fights, but he had a pretty extensive amateur fight record. It was I think he was ranked number 1 in the UK and Ireland for a while. So he's definitely not to be scoffed at just because I've got a little bit more experience than him. He's big, he's strong, he's fit, he's got pretty good, well-rounded skills. So, yeah, it's bound to put me on edge. He should do. Everybody at this Cage Warriors level should put you on edge a little bit. But I'm pretty confident I'm better than him everywhere. So
he does come in with a very storied amateur career, and he's got a lot of people watching him coming out of Scotland. Will be an interesting one to watch. But your experience, does that make you maybe think that you have a bit of an advantage? It is a little bit different fighting the 3x5s as opposed to the 3x3s on the amateur scene, and fighting at Cage Warriors, you do understand the feeling a little bit more. Does that help you at least a little bit in preparation or in the mindset, knowing that you've been there before?
Yeah, I think so. I think more so than competition experience, I think like overall training experience. I think I've been around for a lot longer. I'm a bit older than him. I've been doing this probably longer than he has. I've been training with top level guys as long as I can remember. So I'm pretty confident that when it comes to both in the ring experience and on the mat experience, so I have the advantage there. So yeah, that's definitely going to be in my favor.
Where do you see yourself really excelling over him? Obviously, there may be multiple areas, but where do you really think you have a big advantage?
The striking, I think I'm a much more fluid striker than he is. I think my movement's more refined and probably a bit more dynamic than he is. He looks big and strong, and from his other fights, previous fights, he's been more of a top control wrestler kind of style. So it's a little bit of a clash of styles. I've not really fought anyone with like a grinding top pressure kind of style before. So that's it's going to be an interesting test to see how my movement, my striking, and my defensive grappling fares against his offensive grappling. I think maybe not. Maybe he'll come out swinging. We don't know, but that's how I kind of see it going.
If you pass the test, you move to 7-2. You're on a winning streak. Mm-hmm. You've got to think things are starting to pick up. How many fights would you like to get in this year, or where would you like to see yourself positioned by the end of the year? Not necessarily a promotion, but how many fights do you want under your belt before the end of 2022?
This is the first fight of a 5-fight contract with Cage Warriors, so I'm looking to get through them as quick as possible, or at least as regular, if you can say regular every few months. I want to get three fights in by the end of the year at the very least, maybe 4, depending on how things play out injury wise and knocks wise, and calendar wise. I know there's not too many Cage Warriors shows, but I'd like to get through that contract within the scheduled 18 months that it's going to run. All going to plan. I think 3-4 fights, I should be knocking on the door for the title.
Sam, thank you so much for joining us. We're really looking forward to this one. We hope to have you on again in the future. We'll see you again, my friend. Joining us now is Cage Warriors debutant and close friend of Combat Sports UK's Lewis Simpson, Rees McEwen. How are you feeling this close to fight day?
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling very good. Counting down the days. We spoke to your opponent earlier. He was stoic. You just told me you have enough for the both of you. But before we get into your fight, I wanted to talk a little bit about before. You've got a well-respected amateur career. You've looked fantastic in the pros as well. How do you handle the pressure of debuting in the promotion? And how do you make sure it doesn't get to your head and just operate the way you always would? You just, a fight's a fight, and anytime that you've got an opportunity to compete, you have to ignore all the external factors, like such as what it is, what show it is. You can't let the moment get the better of you. A perfect example is when I got the
the typology profile sent through about Sam Spencer, I got butterflies. I thought, oh my goodness, yes, like this debut in Cage Warriors is real. As well as like getting the contract sent over. But as soon as that happened, it was like your shift turns to how do you win that fight, perform. Ultimately, it's just a day that you choose, a day that you focus on to put your skills on show for everyone. So as long as your focus is on that, everything else is irrelevant. And that's how you deal with that.
What is your goal in Cage Warriors? Many fighters come in with just the goal of making it to the UFC. Others thirst for gold. Where do you sit amongst those?
I want to win the Cage Warriors bantamweight title. I'm here. I've got a multi-fight deal with Cage Warriors. And by the end of that deal, I want to win the belt and defend the belt, and then go on to fight for the UFC and win their belt and defend their belt too.
In fight film, where have you seen your opponent have some flaws in his game, and where do you think you can take the most advantage?
Okay, it's a hard one because his last fight was 2019, so it's in a way it's kind of not irrelevant, but there's not really much point in focusing on my opponent, to be brutally honest. I've got a lot of faith in my ability. A lot of focus this training preparations has been on me and how I can perform and how I can put my skills on show on Saturday night. And like I said, whatever flaws that you can identify in this opponent or any other opponent, the chances are that they're going away from that fight and working on that. So I try not to focus too much on my opponent and just make sure that my game's always worked on. And yeah, that's that.
You try to
the focus is always on me, because an opponent can change it any time.
An opponent can change, and we've seen it so often, especially recently through this whole COVID era. Opponents are falling out left and right. People are just, if you want to fight, you don't really know who you're going to fight until you weigh in and you're across from your opponent.
Absolutely, it's not real until you touch gloves.
I wanted to ask, does this camp feel the same as any other, or is there a little extra fuel going into this one?
There's a little bit of fire in your belly because you feel that. I know I've always thought, especially now that I turned professional, I felt that I'm one of the best fighters in Europe. And when I watch Cage Warriors and I've watched every bantamweight fight there has been for the last couple of years. And after the fights, I've went back to my coaches and said how I would have won that fight. So now that I'm actually there, those like visions and beliefs and images in my head that has happened in the past, that's came to like fruition now. So it's brought a lot of excitement, and it's a little wee fire in my belly just because essentially my goals have came true and getting to the platform where I believe that I belong.
Rees, thank you so much for joining us. Is there anything you have to say in closing? What would you say to those considering, hey, I might watch, I might not? Why should they watch your fight?
Because it's going to be a great fight. I'm going to put on a strong performance. I'm going to put on a show for everyone. I'm probably going to start the card. I'll be one of the first fights. And when the fight comes out or the highlight comes out after if I finish the fight, you'll be like, oh, I need to go back and watch that fight. So save yourself from doing that and tune in from the beginning.
Rees McEwen promises to deliver this weekend. Thank you so much. As I said before, we're going to be speaking plenty, man. Something tells me we're going to know each other pretty well.
Yeah, definitely. It's just the beginning.
Well, folks, I hope you enjoyed being with us for this Cage Warriors Manchester doubleheader preview. This is an incredible weekend in the UK for mixed martial arts. Make sure you head to combatsports.co.uk for the #1 outlet in all things fighting in the UK. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much to all of the talent appearing on this preview. And on behalf of Combat Sports UK, this is Jendo signing off.
Conceive, believe, achieve.
This is former UFC middleweight champion of the world, Michael Bisping.
Paddy the Baddy here. You're listening to Combat Sports UK.
And you're watching Combat Sports UK.